Thank you, Professor Suresh. I would really like to thank His Majesty, Her Royal Princess, Government of Bhutan, Dean, JSW Law School faculty, organizers, panelists, and our participants who have been here for 3 days. This is the 3rd day, and still coming here to attend this with the same energy. Thank you so much. Now, can I have my presentation? So I'm representing ICIMOD. I'm sure most of you know about it. Just not stating what is the problem. The context has been set, and thanks to Carla, also bringing out the investments, financial needs. But what ICIMOD is doing and is trying to do in coming years to actually combat or contribute towards climate action in the Hindu Kush Himalaya. Next slide, please. Or I'll just use this. So as we all know, Hindu Kush Himalaya, or HKH, is the pulse of the planet. It supports a third of humanity. It is the 3rd largest ice reserves with 4 global biodiversity hotspots, 10 major Asian rivers, and we have also seen the talk from, we have heard the talk from Sonam Wangchuk yesterday, talking about the millions and billions of lives being impacted downstream. We all know it is at the front line of the climate crisis, and even in a 1.5 degree scenario in the region, we will still lose 1/3 of the volume of the glaciers. So definitely we need to have ambitious climate action for the HKH to protect the pulse. I'm trying. Okay. So just to bring back to where mountains stands in the global processes, or in the UNFCCC processes, or climate COP. The last time it was mentioned in one place somewhere in 1995. And after that, it was mentioned again in 2019. So what happened in between, we all know. After that, in 2022, ICIMOD, along with our other partners, we worked in collaboration with eminent scientists to work on a cross-chapter for mountains, where we focused on 3 primary things: climate change and adaptation in mountains, impacts of climate change in mountains, risks and intangible losses due to climate change in mountain regions. And we are happy to share that along with our other partners, we are able to achieve cryosphere and mainly permafrost as one of the words in the preamble, at least. So we consider that as an achievement. I would just like to share with you the journey of ICIMOD so far. So we started our assessment with Hindu Kush Himalaya assessment. It's a detailed assessment. A lot of details are at the national level, but also specifically at the mountain level. In 2022, it was a milestone year for us. 2020. What we did, we managed to get ministers from all our member countries, 8 member countries spanning from Afghanistan till Myanmar, to sign a declaration that there is a need to work on HKH. Then, in 2021, we had an ambitious delegation at COP26, where the key messages was pulse of the planet, mountains of opportunity, focusing on the investments, and power of 8. And at COP27, we progressed with our messaging and made it to moving mountains. And what it means is that mountains should be the center of discussion, not somewhere at the periphery. I'll just take the mic, I'm more comfortable. I'm sorry. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, so when I talk about Mountains of Opportunity Investment Framework, what are we mainly talking about? What are we trying to develop? It is basically what we are focusing on, definitely, is increased investments that enable our member countries and the communities of HKH for transitioning into greener, more inclusive, and resilient development. At ICIMOD, what we try to do from our various previous studies and research is that what are the key action areas or the priority areas? And we found that nature-based solutions is one of them. Resilient mountain infrastructure, Then entrepreneurial ecosystem is third, which is specifically also dominated by a lot of young women entrepreneurs. Inclusive and climate responsive financial landscape, shock responsive social protection system, and finally, resilient and inclusive labor markets. I can give you more details bilaterally because of the short time. I am just speaking about what we are doing. Definitely, we also call it as MOIF, Mountains of Opportunity Investment Framework. It is more like an alliance of investors, knowledge, development, and investor actors, which will collaborate to develop and promote not only pilots, not only proof of concepts, but the idea is to have investable and scalable solutions at that level. It is not going to be any sort of a fund or any sort of independent investment vehicle in its own right. ICIMOD has no mandate to do like that. ICIMOD is uniquely placed to combine its existing work on research, on knowledge-based work, evidence work, policy work, and understanding of the HKH issues with its regional convening role, which ICIMOD has mandate for. The first and the foremost step to develop this is developing the evidence. What are these solutions? How can we think that these are scalable? These are investable. So we have done a lot of studies in past to have some of the solutions which are already there. For example, CB Fuse, and which we have been working quite closely also with DFAT on that. Secondly, on the partnership, we have a lot of focus, like also what Carla mentioned, is on not only looking at UN for the money, but also mobilizing it through various partners, which will include definitely the government role, policy interventions, financial institutions, private sector, bilaterals, multilaterals, universities, think tanks. So the idea is not only to have investors, but also to have working groups, knowledge working groups, whether on the NBS, air pollution solutions, and others. And third will be the needs and the opportunities for investments in HKH, which is understood at the global and regional forum. And this is one of those forums where I'm highlighting about MOIF and our work. Secondly, the idea is not only to go global, but we also have a lot of regional forums where we need to present the need, the amount, and the type, and the solutions as well, where we can invest. One question to the audience, like Carla asked, anybody has any idea on the amount of money required or the investments for the HKH? Any guesses, millions, billions? Billions, maybe? But how many billions? If we see NDCs, in our recent study we did at ICIMOD, the countries, the HKH countries, in total requires more than 1,500 billion for the mitigation and more than 500 for adaptation. Now, these are the estimates which were dated, I think, 2019, if I'm correct. And the amount which we receive is very minuscule in terms of that. It's less than 40% so far. So again, re-emphasizing on what Carla mentioned, not only looking towards West to get money and the funds, the idea is also to have a unified voice, to take mountains to that level that it's heard. We really need to have the upstream and the downstream linkages. For example, it was really an achievement to hear about loss and damage in the last COP. And now, as next step, what ICIMOD is trying to do is working on the L&D, which is very difficult. And Nepal is right now is the only country which has come up with a framework on that. So we are trying to see how HKH other member countries stands. And considering the span we cater to from Afghanistan till Myanmar, sometimes it's difficult to get the data at the same scale, at the same level, and in the same time zone. So I will just briefly highlight what is the overall focus. What are we trying to achieve? Is it just, okay, getting some partners together? No. First and foremost, identifying the investable and scalable solutions for the investors. It is very important. Secondly, contributing towards an enabling environment for decision making. Strengthening awareness is very important. identifying the increased opportunities for investments, and also the promotion of mountains, advocating them. And I would just, this is my last slide, and it's just, yeah, okay. This is just for the journey ahead. So yeah, we are going to do a couple of meetings. We'll have some alliances set up this year. We are focusing for this year on NBS and APS, which is we call as nature-based solutions and air pollution solutions. ICIMOD is also working regionally on air pollution. And we had a science policy, recently in December, we had a science policy dialogue on the air pollution as well. And then the idea is to have launch this alliance by COP28. And now I have a short video. Do I have time? Okay, thank you. So this video is basically, we engaged with youth last year, and this was a kind of a short documentary done by one of our youth. She is a trekker, Ms. Purnima Shrestha. She's from Nepal, so it's about that. I hope it's coming.
Autumn 2022 was, in some ways, a season of avalanches in the Manaslu region of Nepal. This year, the Himalayan trekking season saw multiple avalanches strike camps, causing deaths and destroying houses, bridges, and farmlands. Trails were obstructed, villages were cut off from essential supplies, and scores of trekkers were left stranded. At 8,163 meters above sea level, Mount Manaslu, which roughly translates to Mountain of the Spirit, is the 8th highest in the world and one of the riskier peaks to climb. This year, over 400 foreigners had acquired permits to ascend the daunting peak. Like during other years, the rhythms of the local communities, hotels, and trekking agencies were all aligned to the trekking calendar. But with the avalanches and landslides, villages around the famous Manaslu circuit have been left to pick up the pieces. While avalanche activity has been historically recorded in Manaslu, avalanches have rarely hit base camp or left a trail of destruction across the Manaslu region. This season's avalanche activity should perhaps give us pause. Were these powerful natural events an indicator of our planet's current health? Was the moving mountain saying something? Are we listening?
पक्लेपछि अब ग्लेसियर आउने हो हैन ग्लेसियर आएपछि सबैले चाहिँ क्लाइम्बिङ गर्ने गाह्रो हुने हो अब रोक आएपछि हैन अब कि त भन्दा त हिउँ नै हिउँ कि त रोकै रोक भयो भने त त्यसको लागि त एउटा चाहिँ आफ्नो लुगा लाउँथेन हैन हिउँ भयो भने आइस हामीले चाहिँ हिउँ मात्रै लाउनु जुत्ता लाउनु पर्यो रोक भयो भने रोक सिस लाउनु पर्यो हैन त्यहाँ त दुईटा लाउनु सक्दैन नि त्यही भएर गाह्रो चाहिँ त्यही भएर हुने हो कि ग्लेसियरमा लाउने ब्यागले लाउनु भएन लानु सक्दैन हैन त्यही भएर क्लाइम्बरको लागि चाहिँ एकदम गाह्रो भइरहेको थियो अहिले चाहिँ अब यो हिमाल मात्रै पक्लेको होइन यो भन्छ नि अहिले ग्लोबल वार्मिङले गर्दाखेरि हिमाल पक्ले अब बेस क्याम्प सार्नुपर्ने कुराहरू आउँछ हैन त्यो बेस क्याम्प सार्नुपर्ने कुरा मात्रै होइन यस्तो हो भने त ग्लोबल वार्मिङले त हिमाल मात्रै भिलेको त होइन नि हिमाललाई असर पर्न जति त गाउँमा पनि पर्छ नि
यो ठाउँ तपाईको चाहिँ एउटा प्रार्गीय ठाउँ पनि हो एकदम प्रभाव ठाउँ पनि हो यो सानै भयो भने यतिसम्मको चाहिँ पर्यटकको लागि चाहिँ धेरै त्यसमा चाहिँ थियो पोहोरको त्यो के अरे असार 1 गतेको 78 असार 1 गतेको चाहिँ बाढीले गर्दाखेरि यहाँ ध्वस्तै बनाएको छ स्कुललाई चाहिँ ठुलो त्यसमा हामीले हेरिरहेको छ किनभने यो जुन यो पुल लाग्यो अहिले चाहिँ त्यो बालबच्चाहरूलाई स्कुल जानलाई चाहिँ हिजो 5 मिनेटमा पुग्ने ठाउँ यही मुनिको बाटो पुग्ने ठाउँ अहिले 1.5 घण्टा 1 घण्टाको बाटो हिँड्नु परिरहेछ
पहिला चाहिँ हामीले के भन्छ रे लोकल स्याउहरू लगाउँथ्यो है लोकल स्याउ लगाउँदाखेरि चाहिँ खासै त्यस्तो नभए राम्रो भएन अनि त्यसपछि अलिकति आय स्रोत वृद्धि हुन्छ कि भनेर मैले हाइब्रिड लगाएको यो हाइब्रिड लगाएर 3 वर्ष भयो 3 वर्ष भयो अनि के भन्छ रे योलाई मलजल पनि राम्रै गरेको छ अब के सोचेको छु भने मैले चाहिँ अब चाहिँ यो बाटो घाटो राम्रो भइदियो भने यसलाई बजारसम्म पुर्यायो भने आर्थिक स्रोत चाहिँ आय स्रोत चाहिँ राम्रो हुन्छ कि भन्ने मेरो आशा छ
अझै पहिला हाम्रो बाबु मम्मीको पालामा चाहिँ केही पनि नखोल्थ्यो हैन त्यतिखेर क्याम्पिङ पनि थियो अहिले चाहिँ 2 इयर्स सरेको भएर तर हामीले आलु रोपेको छ अनि ग्रिन हाउस बनाएर अनि बन्द चाहिँ तर खासै नहुने रहेछ सागहरू अनि के अरे साग अनि धनिया अनि कौरी चाहिँ सानो सानो थोरै थोरै हुने रहेछ खासै राम्रो हुँदैन.
The mountains of the Hindu Kush Himalayan region are geographically young and dynamic, in a perpetual state of flux and uplift. These mountains move in other ways as well, and they tell us stories of our people and lands. We hear these stories in the changing flows of our rivers, in our melting glaciers, our shrinking farmlands, our emptying villages. Our moving mountains call for cooperation to collectively combat the impacts of climate change on ecosystems and communities. Our priority today is to move mountains from the periphery to the center of the global climate and environment discourse. The HKH region is the pulse of the planet. Changes happen here before they do anywhere else, and we need to listen to what one of the first indicators of our planet's health is begging us to hear. It's now or never.
Thank you. Thank you for having patience and listening to that. Thank you.